independent voice. Together, we make it heard. Are you willing to accept the challenge? Welcome to Independent Voice. We believe in the power of independent thinking, where truth triumphs over negativity, and where your voice can spark change. Join us as we explore the vibrant tapestry of independent voices and open minds, united by a shared goal: to inspire ourselves and others to think, speak, and act with independence and courage. At IV, we are dedicated to amplifying voices that often go unheard. Whether you're here to be informed, contribute, or find inspiration, your voice is vital in shaping the conversation. Together, we can illuminate pathways to a paradigm shift towards independent thinking and strong perspectives. Independent Voice, where authenticity meets integrity, harnessing thoughts and igniting change. Subscribe now and unleash the power of your independent voice. Our goal is to make a difference that lasts. Let's put forth our will behind truth and integrity.
Welcome to Independent Voice. This is Mame.
Nothing is so powerful as the idea whose time has come. And that idea is dialogue.
First and foremost, I want to start today's video by apologizing for my voice being as coarse as it is today, as I'm actually fighting COVID. COVID. I am grateful and excited to share this video with you today because I do have a special guest that I had the honor to interview. And that guest today is Dr. Yonas Adaye, a director of Institute for Peace and Security of Addis Ababa University, also one of the commissioners within the Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission. The Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission is in town, I believe in Washington, D.C. They have done such an incredible work back in the country, and they are now here to also include the diaspora in the process of this national dialogue. It is an incredible opportunity for me to be able to ask him directly questions related to what the national dialogue is all about, why the diaspora, and what is the role of the diaspora in engaging in this national dialogue. We will also talk about the importance for those in the U.S. political offices, our friends in the White House, or friends of Ethiopia that happen to be involved in foreign policies, making decisions, for them to understand why they're here and the importance and the seriousness of the commission and the steps Ethiopia is taking towards peacemaking. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Dr. Yonas, thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure and an honor to have you here in this busy time for you. Bringing such a huge commission for the diaspora community to participate. I am aware of the national dialogue, including the policy itself from the very get-go. Hot off the press, I've read every line of it. I don't know if there is any change. I don't know if it has been updated or not. We've done some work. A group of us got together and actually went through it, and we provided some feedback in the past to some other people that were involved in the initial process. If you can just, first of all, start with introducing yourself, giving us a little bit background about who you are, what you have been up to lately, especially with the commission itself. And then I will ask specific questions. Maybe if you can give us a quick background, and then we'll go through some of the questions that I have for you. So once again, thank you and welcome to Independent Voice.
Thank you, Independent Voice. Very briefly, my name is Dr. Yonas Adaye, and I taught at Addis Ababa University in Peace and Security Studies for nearly 3 decades now, and I was director of Peace and Security Studies Institute, and we set up a project called African Solution for African Problems. That's where so many people borrowed, and we also have our own journal, still functional. And another project is, you might have heard about it, it's called Dana High Level Security Forum for Africa. And so I was doing these things so as to transform Africa's future of conflict and poverty into peace and prosperity, if you like.
Mhm.
So while I was doing that, then my students, former as well as current students, nominated me for the National Dialogue to serve, to go down to the field, to go down to grassroots level and practice what I was preaching in classroom, as just I'm quoting word for word what they said to me. So you've been telling us that there must be a way for bringing peace, sustainable peace to Ethiopia by peaceful means. So that peace by peaceful means must be seen because we are peace-hungry people in Ethiopia. So that is my big mission. And before National Dialogue then, that's what I was doing. My research publications can be checked from ResearchGate or Research Google. You have so many sources there. Now, currently, also academically, I'm Associate Professor of Peace Studies. And time and again, I should also come to Baker Institute at the University of Pennsylvania, and here also Africa Center. Frequently I would visit, and I've been doing that one too. So in short, that's who Yonas is, and he's very happy to serve the people, and that peace is indivisible. So Ethiopia's peace is a piece of Africa and a piece of the whole world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I like you already. The national dialogue, you're the right person to have in this commission because of the background you just discussed, your own background, the fact that you've been teaching at a university. It seems to me Ethiopia's peace is a matter to you. It matters that we take care of it. There is a generational wealth of not so peaceful things, but then peace is out there. So why is peace eluding us? Maybe down the road we will talk about it. I would like to begin this interview today in asking you just a brief question. I know you have been engaged in the country. You guys have done a lot of dialogues from place to place the last however many years you guys have been doing this. I've read some reports that talked about the positive outcome and some of the challenges you faced. You are here in the United States. So if you could begin describing what the document is doing, why National Dialogue? Because I know National Dialogue Ethiopia is not the first to do, but in the history of Ethiopia, this is the first one. So tell me what it means for you to be involved in that and for the country to do this nationwide and to engage its citizens in a national dialogue. Is it focused just on the war itself? Or are we trying to address some other issues that followed us from generation? Or is it really focused in what we want to resolve related to the war?
Excellent. Thank you so very much indeed. The very proclamation or the very document you stated still is functional, and its focus in general is on three areas. What I could deduce from the entire 35 articles is that, number one, it's meant for building national consensus.
Okay.
Number two, it's meant for building trust between the state and society, as well as among societies. And number three, making dialogue Ethiopia's political culture. I have to unpack the last point particularly, because in Ethiopia, what has been there for centuries, for maybe millennia, is that winners take all approach. And the entire process also has been, because it's still functional, top down. And a few elites would dominate the majority as a whole without listening to whatever these people really are talking about, hungry about, questioning about time and again. So there's this third one, sort of paradigm change honestly speaking, even when you read the text, you can also find some terms like change of social contract as well. So that social contract, I'm sure you understand very clearly. I've just understood from your articulation, because we say, as Dr. Samuel Johnson, the first father to design English dictionary, open up your mouth and I'll tell you who you are, he would say.
True.
Just done. And so without going to CDA, that is critical discourse analysis, by the very word, by the very terms that you use, you can easily identify who that person is. So, as I can quickly then infer from your communication and our interaction, that what's meant by social contract, I'm sure, is very clear. I'll pay you as a state tax. You'll take care of my property and my lives. So that social contract even could be changed as a result of this national dialogue. And that you can really read in the very text. When you read between the lines or beyond the lines, then you can really reach such conclusion. So to answer your question directly, the text refers to fundamental differences in Ethiopia, historical questions that separated, that kept on sowing the seed of disagreement, discord in this country, and that is to be unpacked, unearthed through, number one, grassroots level discussion, number two, through research, and number three, also, most of the time, through the media and from other international practices as well. So just, gleaning from this, then we divided our activities into 5 phases, but using my academic right, I divided into 5. The first one is sort of preliminary dialogue. That preliminary dialogue is sort of exploration of what other countries have done when they practiced dialogue. What were their success factors? What were their failure factors? So we had to just look at these across the world. And for your surprise, before even coming to this national dialogue, while I was doing my PhD at the University of Bradford in UK, I had the opportunity to visit South Africa, Kenya, Northern Ireland, and on and off some Latin American countries, including Colombia. Because we were focusing on peace studies, particularly in post-conflict context, particularly in Africa or Ethiopia being the case, as you might, of course, check my dissertation or in this American English, and thesis we would say in British English there. So just you can see where I focused. It's on conflict complexity in Ethiopia, borrowing from quantum mechanics and quantum physics, the complexity theory, because Ethiopia's conflict is really complex. You don't have this stimulus response approach, not unidirectional or linear, but rather very much complex, complicated. So this then, the very document you've been time and again referring to focuses on that complexity of conflict in Ethiopia. So it is to help us to address those fundamental causes for conflict, those structural causes of conflict. And so as to make them happen, then we had to, as I said, divide into 5 chapters. And the first one was preliminary. And the second one is preparation. During preparation, what did we do? One, go down to Ethiopia's grassroots level, particularly regional, woreda, that is district or county, depending upon which country you are, going down to the smallest unit of administration. And first scan the field, understand the culture. Some of us, some of my colleagues who never been in Ethiopia for 30, 40 years, but volunteers who are just like you because they love Ethiopia. Ethiopia has always been in their hearts. So they decided to serve with us So for them also it is an opportunity to know better their own country. So that is what we did when we were at two, so that's the second pillar or the second chapter, that is understanding the context, going down to the people, look at the administrative structure. We have 1,300 waradas. So go around there, know the political structure, political culture, the social interaction, the nationalities, the way they were structured. So that is understanding your context. The third chapter is the process. That process is collecting agenda, selecting or making people select representatives who would come to the regional level, and then at the end of the day come to National Dialogue Conference. And the fourth one, this is called delivery, such as those collected agenda are to be formulated in a way that can be discussed, debated, and finally you can make a recommendation to the House of Representatives, to the Council of Ministers for their functioning. And the final phase, which we haven't yet started, is follow up. How much the voices of the people have been heard by the government? Are they walking the talk? Are they acting? Are they really performing the social contract? If not, that's really dangerous for them because they already, believed it. It is the government's sustainable peace building strategy, and they trusted us because we were nominated by the people, and finally we are accountable to because we are from the people, by the people, and of course for the people, without any plagiarism of Abraham Lincoln's definition of democracy. Be careful there. That's how we have perceived it, and we are functioning it. So we are here as part of agenda collection and selection of people to take part in National Dialogue Conference, including from the diaspora, because Ethiopians carry, even though they could be physically out of Ethiopia, but their spirit, their thinking, their emotion is in Ethiopia as well. So that is our rationale to be with you here in Washington, D.C.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think you gave us really, really a good foundation to understand what this national dialogue is all about. So it's not just some document that was put together that didn't involve any kind of processes at all with people that do not necessarily understand the purpose behind it. So thank you for that background. And I think it's a good segue for me to then ask you some questions related to now you're here. Like I said, people can read the reports, can follow the news, social media is out there. We've known that the commission has done quite a lot of work around the regions down to Waradas and whatnot. And now you're here in the US. We do have a large population here that is named, obviously, the Diaspora. Tell me why it is important for the commission to include this agenda selecting process and hearing from the diaspora. What is the process? What is the added value there in including the diaspora? How would you go about that? What would that process look like?
Thank you indeed. So when you come to that, we have 11 principles in that document, the one you mentioned a moment ago. And the first one is inclusivity. So if I take inclusivity alone, not only physical inclusion of people, but their ideas to be included in the agenda. And if we mean what we say and say what we mean, in that inclusivity principle, without diaspora's engagement, Ethiopia's national dialogue is incomplete. That we believe in principle and in practice. And if you just ask who are the diaspora, to be honest, people like you and very well-educated people with extremely useful experience, who really paid in their maybe blood and tears, honestly speaking. Some even former military attaches, military leaders,
Mm-hmm.
former professors, business people, media experts like yourselves, idea leaders, and who paid sacrifices to save Ethiopia when Ethiopia was in sort of dark situation, and who also contributed for Ethiopia's Great Renaissance Dam, and who almost always, walked tall regarding Ethiopia, who really fought for Ethiopia, who almost all the time negotiated for Ethiopia in international arena. Most people, I may not mention specific individuals, but they are highly respected. Their ideas are extremely valued. Without such extremely important ideas, you cannot imagine a national dialogue succeeding, honestly speaking. And these people came out of Ethiopia for various reasons. Maybe one could be political disagreement, another could be maybe conflict, or still others could be related to poverty. These all can be dealt with through dialogue. When you have a dialogue, the very meaning of dialogue in Socrates, in the sense of Socrates, is a way of finding the truth. And the good book of the Bible says, you will know the truth shall make you free.
100%.
Absolutely. So why do we have this conflict? What's the truth about this age-old conflict in this country? Why do we have marginalization for some, exclusion for others? And some people, complain that only the minority have been leading Ethiopia. But most of the time, this claim itself is questioned because in Ethiopia, leadership, not only simply Amhara or Oromo or Walaita or Grage or Tigray, but one way or the other, they all got involved. It is because of their sacrifice in Adwa. That's why we, proudly speak everywhere, anywhere, Ethiopia as uncolonized country in history. That collective history, that collective identity made Ethiopia Ethiopia. And that's why diaspora's engagement is a center. Yes, equally important, of course, very important, as you know very well, at grassroots level, at home first. Then you have the diaspora have the home in their heart. So we have to listen to the diaspora's voices. And they have this almost sometimes, if not kingmaker voice, shake and maybe make and shake. And you have so many word expressions, which sometimes as peace studies students, I always go for positive terminology. And as you rightly mentioned, that comes to almost to my heart. That is, I am also like you, a 3L, lifelong learner, all the time. For me, life itself is defined as a process of learning. So in short, it's really the diaspora's ideas are so, game changers. They have this dynamic role to play. We absolutely understand Ethiopia recognizes altogether how much they have been really paying, even the very, the financial assistance to the country. Remittance itself is playing a role in the economy, the politics, the culture, the representation. You have the list is very, very long. So simply, diaspora have this determinant, the way of decisive role in Ethiopia's politics. You cannot ignore diaspora and then tell the world that you have conducted a national dialogue without Mame, for instance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I cannot wait to see how it goes. I hope I have the opportunity to see some of the conferences. A couple more questions. I'm learning as always, listening to you. I'm learning and the questions are rushing through my head, but I'll try to contain myself for the purpose of this interview. Two-layered question. One, the national dialogue. Would you say it is politically focused or kind of guarded from political inclination? I'm sure there is an aspect of politics in it. If we go into the political aspect of it, you and I can stay here for 3 hours. That's not what we're going to do. Is the national dialogue about specific targeted agenda questions that you guys are trying to collect, listen to the hearts of the people, and then present some kind of hopefully proposed solution as to what the peacemaking process would look like? Do you guard the work that the National Dialogue Commission is entrusted with from sort of a political blanket? How, if you say, you know, you can't have national dialogue without talking about politics, then how much of it do you guard the process so that it doesn't become all politics and not necessarily listen to the hearts of people? Because not everybody may be interested in politics, right? How do you do that? Those are my 2-layer questions, and then I'll come back with a follow-up.
Brilliant. So just as we said a moment ago, nothing human society, human creature can be outside of politics. Whatever we say here is politics. Not only the art of governance, the art of maybe ruling or governing or leadership, but politics itself is life. Without being Socrates or Aristotle, that human beings are political creatures. He said political animals, but I want to edit the word animals and call it creatures. If I just take simple examples from the agenda from grassroots level, their first question was, for Ethiopia's age-old, particularly the last 30 years conflict, is the constitution, they tell you. That's number one. Very, time go whichever part of Ethiopia, you hear it. If that's not politics, what else? Seriously speaking. And again, they just tell you about the structure of the government. They say it should not be based on ethnic identities. We like to be on geographical one. Here in the US, for instance, the way you've been into 50, those states are not necessarily only this ethnic group, that ethnic group. It might be combined, but for convenience sake, then it could be the people, those who some might look down on as if they were so illiterate or they don't know, but they quickly tell you that the conflict in Amhara region, the conflict in Tigray region affects us. Who says that? Elmi Triangle, southern Ethiopia, which is northern, it's a border between northern Kenya, southern South Sudan, and northern Uganda. Their people tell you that. When you go to Afar, it's quite clear. When you go to Sidama, to Walaita area, you can hear that, how much people really are so connected, and almost everything raised related with constitution, with state structure, with corruption. These all tell you this national dialogue not includes, but centers on political activities, because the very activity itself is a political undertaking.
Sure. Wow. Thank you. You touched on the 2 areas that I had hoped you would come to, which is the constitution and the structure of the government. I could speak for myself, and I bet you I'm speaking for a whole lot of diaspora people here, because we talk about it. Independent Voice talks about it. That's what I do most of the time. The Constitution, because there's a reason why we're saying the constitutions, and everybody, I think a lot of people are hopeful that the Commission is able to take this to the surface, bring it to the surface and say, hey, by the time this whole thing is said and done, the majority or the number one concern of the nation is A, B, C, and D. I'm hopefully by the time the delivery comes across, we get to see what surfaces up for the nation as a concern and a question. And politics is part of life. It's intertwined. It's there. We can't necessarily talk about the Constitution without sounding or actually considering it is part of politics. The ethnic-based government structure. I am a public administration student, so that is in me. I have worked for government over 20-some years. So in order to build something, you have to kind of sometimes take down something, right? That's just reality. If we're going to build something, you either have a flat surface, something that did not necessarily contain anything, and then start fresh. But if you're going to rebuild something, you're going to have to tear down some walls. And that is what we're trying to do today. And I'm assuming that the National Dialogue is here, the commissioners are here to try and take down some of the walls and saying, just because we fear it is going to sound like we're talking about politics, or if just because we have this fear that this is a sensitive issue for a certain group of people or a demographic area, we're just not going to touch it. So I think you have the opportunity, being independent commission outside of the far-reaching hand of government, you have the ample opportunity to really make this kind of historical change. Now, speaking of that, how are you guys maintaining trust when we know the nation is polarized? How do you maintain that trust? What do you do with that?
Isn't that soul-searching question? And I love that. Trust deficit, be it at family level or even personal level. If someone fails to trust himself or herself, they are almost on the edge of maybe, going into sort of personal crisis, which leads to social crisis as well. So I fully agree with what you've said, particularly the framing of the question itself. If the very state itself is functional, not on a changed constitution, but still on that ethno-linguistic constitution, then how can people even trust what you are saying? And my just saying is very simple, to be honest. The state or the government, which is running the state, trusted us as nominated by the people, and it also trusts that national dialogue is the best way for it to build sustainable peace and development. Then I think walking the talk is up to the very government. And if people's decision is, let me repeat, if the people's decision is that this very constitution either should be improved or changed altogether, that's the voice which comes finally at the end of the national dialogue. The government promised time and again through the public speeches and on so many occasions, it promised, and it also has a duty of fulfilling what it said. And you have it in the good book that if the salt doesn't behave like a salt, then it is running the risk of being thrown like a stone, because people may not use it anymore. So they may not, because the election is coming soon, next year, 2026, and we're expecting people's voice to be respected as a government. So we really trust the three factors. First, the people. Second, the very state. And third, of course, the creator himself. And very fortunately, blessed are those who make peace, for they shall be called children of
God.
Indeed. So far, we had 126 people on board to this, 126,000 people on board to discuss, and from about 120 million people. And each and every session started with prayers and blessings from Orthodox Christians, from evangelical, Catholic, from Muslims, from Waqf, from all spiritual, across the board. And they all trust that what is impossible with man is possible with God. So they have, this really public vow, and they are working in that faithful activity, in that faithful way as well.
I have a couple questions, and then maybe we can try to wrap this up. We talked about why the diaspora, and you very nicely put it, without the diaspora, the National Dialogue Commission isn't going to complete its mission. I get that. And the diaspora has been a voice in so many ways. Me being a diaspora, not sure I like the word diaspora, but it is what it is. We're still in tuned with our origin. I've been here longer than I have been in Ethiopia. I've been here a whole lot longer than I was ever in Ethiopia. But Ethiopia is Ethiopia. I was born and raised in Ethiopia. I lived there long enough to know where my roots are. And when I wanted to do something, the very first place I went back to is Ethiopia. I get that. So that's probably why we're saying the diaspora's involvement is important. How do you see this National Dialogue Committee doing the work it is doing now, especially with the diaspora, impacting the second generation, the children of the diaspora, and hopefully continue to talk about the interest of Ethiopia, the sovereignty of Ethiopia, and the integrity of Ethiopia? How do you see this, the work that you're doing, the work that the commission is doing, benefiting the second generation? And what would you say to the second generation that seems to maybe say, does it even involve me? Why should I care? What would you say?
I would say the youth are the future of a country.
Mm-hmm.
A country without the youth, that spirit, the children, whatever we do really is for the future. Mostly it is future search, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And for the young generation, what we are saying is that we are so much used to listening, hearing. Even some of our generation may not know the meaning of what's meant by peace, because they were born in conflict, grown up in conflict, die in conflict. We have to change that history. We must facilitate for the young. So what we are saying for the young is, to be honest, it is your Ethiopia. You are the leaders. And now time has come for you to change this culture of killing and winners take all into the culture of speaking and all emerge winners. Mm-hmm. And also we say for the young, nothing is so powerful as the idea whose time has come. And that idea is dialogue. For the young generation, I might have been listening to Alaska summit between President Putin and President Trump. They were time and again using the word dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. Even the highest, the most powerful, after having fought for so many years, come down to dialogue, because dialogue is a way of searching for truth, for truth shall set us free and peaceful at the same time. So, young generation, the future is yours. The dialogue is yours. It is your time now. So think peace, speak peace, act peace, because peace as well as war starts in mind, in the very mind here. And that's what we are doing for you. And you have to have brighter, better future than our own. So that's what we are really working for. And we trust you also. We really have been very much encouraged by the youth. Wherever we really went, Mame, for your surprise, on voluntary basis, they would be helping us. Not only with their poems and dramas and the sports, but also engaging directly in the very offering of agenda, facilitating situations, and taking responsibility, saying that don't decide about youth without youth. We are here. That's it. We want to construct, to build assertive generation at the same time, inclusive generation, who really celebrates diversity, does not discriminate anyone on the basis of their race, their color, their creed, but on their performance. And that's what our message strongly is for the young generation, for the future belongs to them.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. So as we're speaking about the young generation and kind of painted a very nice picture how the young generation or the youth is engaged in this commission, right? What about the youth that was born and raised here, that happened to be my children, the diaspora's children, that side of the demographic? What message would you have for them? Why should they pay attention to this thing?
Mame, that is the last and best question, same time with huge huge difficulties, responsibilities, and they have to fight for dual citizenship. Not only Americans, but also Ethiopians. Because the future, as the Jewish saying goes, don't treat your children the way you were treated because they belong to a different generation. Their generation is different. They deserve different treatment. So in the national dialogue, time and again, raised issue is that multiple nationality. I don't simply put it dual, but multiple nationalities. And that must be realized because we human beings are competing not only with each other, but with AI. Seriously speaking,
Sure.
I want the young generation to read Isaac Asimov or The World in 2015, 2115. And it's quite amazing what type of world is being, created, what's emerging. We must be prepared for such world. Otherwise, other aliens might come and invade planet Earth. Then they may take up because if we are not prepared. So the young generation have this challenge. Therefore, there must be these opportunities of multiple citizenship. For that, we have to work hard for them, and they also are working with us at the same time.
One last question before we wrap this up.
Oh my God.
I think we've raised, in my mind, good questions, and you've responded really very candidly and openly, and this has been really great of you. We talked about how it was in Ethiopia, all the process, the background, the diaspora, why should we engage, and what is the purpose and the reason the diaspora needs to be part of this, and there is a commitment that you guys want to include the diaspora, because without the diaspora, we've said that. We talked about the second generation, because the second generation, as you said it has a dual citizenship, even though they may not have it necessarily on paper, whether we know it or not, to some degree, they do have a dual citizenship, right? They are Ethiopians. They are raised in an Ethiopian home. They have that Ethiopian-ness in their heart. When I started this interview earlier, I had mentioned that some of my listeners within the Independent Voice are also friends of Ethiopia. They may not be Ethiopians, but they're friends of Ethiopia, and some of them are Americans, some of them are from other African countries. What message would you pass on to people that happen to be in offices that impact or has the potential to impact policies that impact Ethiopia, the interest of Ethiopia, international policies, those that have worked with us, those that had given us ears to listen to what we have to say, because when Ethiopia gets touched over there, we get touched in here. We have a vested interest in maintaining that relationship over 100, I believe 10 years, just with the US and Ethiopia, correct? So what message would you have for those listeners as the vice chair of this commission? Why should they listen? Why should they trust? Why should they believe? Why do you think it is a message also that they should give an ear as you are here to do this important work?
Thank you very much indeed. The first one is a very general one, and that is peace is indivisible. Ethiopia's peace is America's peace as well. And this is demonstrated here. As you were interviewing me, here I can time and again hear sirens. And we also happen to see security questions. And these people here, because of maybe poverty or lack of peace in their respective countries, they are in this country, and that disturbs American peace, if you like. Healthy life, healthy job as well. The best way to deter that is making those countries in peace, peaceable at the same time, and of course prosper on their own rather than disturbing others. And that's why we say peace is indivisible. That's why we uphold Africa's philosophy of Ubuntu. I am because you are. Your being there makes me hear at the same time. You can see me, I can see through you, then I can understand myself at the same time. The general answer. When I come back to the specific answers, Ethiopia's and the US diplomacy goes to well over 120 years. 120, even I can just give you specific numbers as well because of my historical background as well. And across these all ages, even though there's ups and downs, in general, to be honest, there have been truly human-loving, true, human citizens who've been helping Ethiopians through education, through development. You have Kennedy Library, just standing in the, they call it pride of place. Just how I was just counting the other 3 days ago I was there, 5 days ago I was there, and how many people really went through this Kennedy Library. How many really have they helped? It's AI, the American aid. How much really it has been. Not only that, Peace Corps, the project called Peace Corps, and there are so many Ethiopians who were educated not only English, but basic literacy as a whole, agriculture, engineering, so many other things who transformed Ethiopians' lives at grassroots level, to be honest. Again, if I just take the Protestant movement as a whole in Ethiopia, civilizational movements, how much contribution Americans have made, I can't simply tell you. That's from that. Again, from entire Ethiopian culture, politics, economy, commerce, bilateral, multilateral relations. What they have contributed can never be forgotten. And there are some Americans even who took initiative. If you remember the name McClelland, who died in Ethiopia by then it's called Luababora, or by now it is Gambela, trying to help Ethiopians, coming with some food aid. And how much we really are tied together. So their involvement now in investment, in education, in trades, and in these situations, Ethiopia, they have been supporting Ethiopia. Now Ethiopia can also reciprocate that one at the same time when there is Ethiopia's sustainable peace through national dialogue. And that's why this afternoon we were with the US representatives on foreign relations. We were to talk to them. And this is exactly what I said, word for word, I'm repeating here at the same time. And there are a lot of things at stake for Americans to really come to do business in Ethiopia. We have, of course, a lot, not only Regency or Pizza Hut, or with so many others at the same time. We're expecting with stretched hands to have, because for us, our beauty lies in diversity. And Ethiopia is not only the origin of human beings, but human hospitality at the same time. So now we're trying a level best to make Ethiopia not only making history, being running anti-colonial fight towards Italian, but this time not only heroes of war, but heroes of peace. And that peace has this what's called sometimes cross-boundary effect, or simply spillover effect to others. So we like to disseminate that one too. So there are true Americans, and in the Congress, in the Senate, in different areas, whenever Ethiopia was, weakened or attacked, then there are really who kept on fighting up to the end of their lives. They deserve Ethiopians. We salute them wherever we are, and they deserve our love and respect. They have a lot to do, to gain, and to work together with Ethiopia. May God bless America. May God bless Ethiopia.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. With that said, when everything is said and done and this commission has completed the process you had mentioned earlier, what kind of Ethiopia do you foresee? What is the hope?
Number one, Ethiopia that reconciled with itself. Peaceful Ethiopia. Number two, Ethiopia whose political culture is not fight, but talk. where winners take all, substituted by all emerging winners, where dialogue is the culture of the society. And most importantly, diversity, unity in diversity, where people can move across the nation, as, just to use Martin Luther King's way of saying, my country it is. Every citizen of Ethiopia saying, my country it is. That's in older English, which means it's my country, rather than focusing on ethnicity or clan, but rather being human first. So these three things, if they come, I'm sure, as you said, when we're completed, we expect these to really happen. In the long run, there are so many. But as Shakespeare says, brevity is the soul of languages. So it should be brief enough. And I should stop there.
At the end of the day, what should Ethiopia look like is Ethiopia that is, using your word, a hero of peace. We take so much pride in being heroes of war. I think it's high time that we take pride in becoming a hero of peace. With that said, we're going to wrap up this interview. I cannot tell you enough how grateful I am to have this opportunity. It gives me hope. It gives me courage. And it helps me to continue doing what I try to do, even if it means to being a small voice, but it is a voice regardless. It can be a voice that can be reckoned with. And for you to add your voice with mine in this manner today, it means a lot. And I'm grateful for the embassy that coordinated this, everybody that you work with, on behalf of every single listener that I have. I want to say thank you to you, the commission. It's not an easy task. It might look a little glamorous as you talk about it, but to actually put the foundation together and to build it and to see it where it's at today, I think it really, really shows the level of commitment and the level of sacrifice that you guys have input into this process. So I'm grateful that I had the opportunity now, as I was able to look at the document when it first came out. We dissected it. I still have some of the recordings that we were not able to publish. Maybe down the road, there might be a chance to pull these things together and create a documentary out of it. But now I get to speak to you and get a sense of hope and get a sense of encouragement that Ethiopia is on the right track, regardless of what the administration looks like a year from now. What we want is the Ethiopia that we all envision. So thank you so much for your time. I so appreciate you. And thank you to our listeners who would take this and take it to heart and understand where we're coming from. And I would repeat this one more time from the horse's mouth. This is the correct information from the commission itself. This is the intent. This is the process. And I wish you all the best and every grace there is that God can give you guys to complete this to the finish line. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed for the opportunity. Thank you. See you soon indeed.
Absolutely.